Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, word to my brethren all around the world watching this video. Hope you're having a fantastic day today, wherever you're at. And interesting story here in the boxing world because, drug testing, fighter safety, these things are prevalent topics all the time in the sport of boxing these days. And interestingly enough, it hasn't formally announced yet, but there is much anticipation and much expectation, I should say, that Anthony Joshua and Alexander Povetkin will be fighting in September 22nd. And with that being said, it was recently reported and announced on multiple news outlets that both Joshua and Povetkin have enrolled for Vada drug testing for this fight. Now, Vada drug testing is probably, from what we have available to us in boxing, it's the best drug testing we have. It's the most stringent drug testing we have. It's the only drug testing that's consistently caught fighters. There's been guys that have been repeat offenders. And, you got to give credit where credit is due. Povetkin has had a checkered history with, banned substances and performance-enhancing drugs. He had the special case in 2016 with meldonium when the World Anti-Doping Agency had just banned a whole host of substances. A lot of Russians who were regularly taking meldonium for years and across all kinds of sports were coming up positive in tests, and it was a big thing. And then they had to go to court, and Povetkin eventually got proven innocent in that case. But then later on that year, in a much more conclusive case, he tested positive for ostarine, which basically it got the Severn fight that was scheduled later on that year for cancer. So it's good on Povetkin to do this. It really is. And then as for Joshua, there's been a lot of speculation of him using performance-enhancing drugs due to how big he's been getting. If you go back and you look at him from the Dillian White fight and look at him like now, it's like two different people. So, there's been speculation with him. So you gotta give credit where credit is due. It's good to see that these two guys are taking it upon them to take the most stringent drug testing in boxing. I'm sure if there's anything wrong, it should come up in the tests because Vada is, and if not, it is what it is. At least they went through the most stringent drug testing in boxing, and they don't get caught, then they'll know that they're cheating, and they'll have to live with those consequences and live with that themselves. So there's that. What I'll say is this too, man, because I've been covering boxing on YouTube for a couple of years now, and I've heard a lot of people talk about fighter safety and all this stuff. Right now, as you guys can see behind me, I got a picture of Evander Holyfield behind me. Over there is a picture of Mike Tyson. Shannon Briggs. There's people on YouTube that are fans of these fighters, openly fans of these fighters, like openly fans of Holyfield, openly fans of Mike Tyson. And my thing is like, you can't be a fan of those guys and not acknowledge that they were massive steroid users. They were. I mean, they were great fighters. They were A+ fighters without the steroids. But I'm saying when they were boxing, Holyfield, how the hell do you think Holyfield got up to heavyweight? There was no way he was naturally going to put on that much size that quickly and get up to heavyweight. So he was a known steroid user. There was a whole story about how they had steroids in his house, delivered to his house. There's been all kinds of reports about that. Tyson as well. These guys took steroids, but people don't take away their accomplishments or say that they're any less greater because they took steroids. So I find it funny when I hear those same people who are like massive fans of those fighters blatantly just like ignore that about them. And then today, like anytime someone like doesn't come up clean, they'll say, "Oh well, that guy is a cheater and he was this and that." But then you bring up the names of Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson, and they don't talk about their steroid history or anything like that. So just if you're gonna criticize something, be consistent. What I'll say is this, man. I know for a fact that in boxing, amongst boxing fans and people who cover boxing on the YTBC, that this is not something that like they don't care about it as much as they give off, and that's reflected. And if you guys go and watch any interview about fighter safety with the likes of like Victor Conte, Margaret Goodman, people from Vada, people from like the Snatch Gym, there's all these interviews you see on the internet of drug testing, fighter safety, all those. The views are generally not that high ever. I get more. I see more views for videos of like Shakur Stevenson or or Adrian Broner smacking some stripper's ass in the club than I will for fighter safety. So I almost feel like people just want to talk about fighter safety when it suits them. But my position on fighter safety is like the position I take on it is simply this. I think there should be fighter safety in boxing. You know, there should be stringent drug testing in boxing, but then I also understand that boxing is a fragmented sport, and as humans we have a very sinful nature. So people are gonna go do what fighters are gonna do what they need to do to get that competitive edge. Because honestly, knowing how a lot of these fighters think, they might say, well, oh, this fighter is cheating, and he's getting millions of dollars. If I cheat, you know, I can get this. I can get the same thing back, and that's why you have such rampant steroid use in boxing today. You had it back then. And fighters are always looking for that competitive edge. So, you know, you're not gonna catch everybody. But at least with this fight for Joshua and Povetkin, for this fight at least, there will be Vada drug testing. And I know that's one thing people always ask. You know, we want Vada, we want Vada, we want Vada. So now you're getting Vada, and I really don't see how, in this case, at least for this fight, you can complain about Joshua or Povetkin, especially Povetkin, because Povetkin's had such a you know, history with substances and whatnot, you know. What I'll say is this, you know, I was recently listening to a Tony Bellew interview, and Bellew was talking about how he knew a sparring partner that used to spar with Povetkin all the time, and he was saying that Povetkin was almost two different people than when he was on something and then when he wasn't on something. But I think you can say that for almost anybody who's really taken PEDs like that. But that's just my opinion. Like, so yeah, all I'm saying is with boxing fans, if you're gonna condemn a fighter for performance-enhancing drugs, make sure you condemn the guys that before, like Evander Holyfield or Mike Tyson, guys like that. Truthfully, my position is this on and even in baseball, I'm not gonna lie, like, even in baseball, I kind of feel like this at times. Like, I know steroids will give you a competitive advantage, and I know that there are some benefits to steroids, like they'll help you recover quicker and things like that. So we're not gonna ignore that. But in terms of the actual execution of doing what you got to do, it's not going to help you anymore. Like, if you're Evander Holyfield, right, you can take, like, all the steroids. I'll say this. Like, I'll give you an example. Paulie Malignaggi, right, before he fought Danny Garcia, he worked with Angel Memo Heredia, the biggest PED guru in all of boxing, okay? He was on something for that fight. We know that, okay? Because if you're with Memo Heredia, you're going to be on something. There's somewhere where we're trying to get a competitive advantage. So, with that being said, man, he fought Danny Garcia, and there was no noticeable differences in his performance. He was just the same old Paulie Malignaggi, pillow puncher, and whatnot. And on top of that, he was just old fighting Danny Garcia. So, nothing really looked different about Paulie Malignaggi. So my position is PEDs aren't going to help you become a better fighter. You still have to go out there and execute. You guys still have to go out there and execute. So you're going to need to go out there and set your punches up the same way and all that and whatnot. The same thing in baseball. Like, you might get the benefits of steroid use once you actually hit the ball, but you still hit the ball. See what I'm saying? It's like in baseball. For any of you guys who watch baseball or know about steroids in baseball, like, best example of how steroids benefited a player may have been like Brady Anderson, when the guy that played for the Orioles in the 90s. Dude didn't hit like more than 20 home runs or 22 home runs his whole career, whatever it was. And then just magically, with a snap of the finger, 1 year he had hits like 50 home runs. So that's like the best example, I guess, of how it can help you in baseball. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, with boxing fans, a lot of you guys talk about fighter safety, but I know a lot of you guys don't really care. I mean, that's my honest opinion, because if you did, you'd call things consistently. But anyway, I've been rambling. Josh and Povetkin are enrolled and signed up for Vada testing. So give me your opinions. What do you think about it? Do you think this in any way is going to affect their performances in the ring? You can let me know that in the comments down below. Take the time to subscribe, and like I say in every single video, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just kidding, Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.